snow is so heavy today. Here, come in, come in. Oh, you poor thing, your coat is soaked. Hand it over. I'll put it up here near the fire to dry. Yes, and just leave your boots right here. Perfect. Here's your chair and a blanket to snuggle in with. I knew you were coming, so I made a big cup of cocoa. Marshmallows or whipped cream? Wonderful. I got you. And a nice crusty slice of sourdough with butter and marmalade, too. All settled? Perfect. I'll go ahead and jump right in. Where were we? Oh, yes. Alice has just landed on a heap of dry leaves at the bottom of the rabbit hole. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped up onto her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the white rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say, as it turned a corner, "Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting." She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer to be seen. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. There were doors all round the hall, but they were all locked, and when Alice had been all the way down one side and up the other, trying every door, she walked sadly down the middle, wondering how she was ever going to get out again. Suddenly she came upon a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass. There was nothing on it except a tiny golden key, and Alice's first thought was that it might belong to one of the doors of the hall. But, alas, either the locks were too large, or the key was too small. But at any rate, it would not open any of them. However, the second time round she came upon a low curtain she had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight it fitted. Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage, not much longer than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the loveliest garden you ever saw. How she longed to get out of that dark hall and wander about among those beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains. But she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my head would go through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. How I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could, if I only knew how to begin. For you see, so many out-of-the-way things had happened lately that Alice had begun to think that very few things were really impossible. There seemed to be no use in waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table, half hoping she might find another key on it, or at any rate a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes. This time she found a little bottle on it, which certainly was not here before, said Alice, and round its neck a paper label with the words "Drink Me" beautifully printed on it in large letters. It was all very well to say "drink me," but the wise little Alice was not going to do that in a hurry. "No, I'll look first," she said, "and see whether it's marked poison or not." For she had read several nice little histories about children who had got burnt and eaten up by wild beasts and many other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember the simple rules their friends had taught them, such as that a red-hot poker will burn you if you hold it too long, and that if you cut your finger very deeply with a knife, it usually bleeds, and she had never forgotten that if you drink much from a bottle marked poison, it is almost certain to disagree with you sooner or later. However, this bottle was not marked poison, so Alice ventured to taste it, and finding it very nice, it had, in fact, a sort of mixed flavor of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast. She very soon finished it off. "What a curious feeling," said Alice. "I must be shutting up like a telescope." And so it was indeed. She was now only 10 inches high, and her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for going through the little door into that lovely garden. First, however, she waited for a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She felt a little nervous about this. "For it might end, you know," said Alice, "in my going out altogether, like a candle. I wonder what I should be like then." And she tried to fancy what the flame of a candle is like after it is blown out, for she could not remember ever having seen such a thing. After a while, finding nothing more happened, she decided on going into the garden at once. But alas for poor Alice! When she got to the door, she found that she had forgotten the little golden key, and when she went back to the table for it, she found she could not possibly reach it. She could see it quite plainly through the glass, and she tried her best to climb up one of the table legs, but it was too slippery, and when she had tired herself out with trying, the poor little thing sat down and cried. "Come, there's no use in crying like that," said Alice to herself rather sharply. "I advise you to leave off this minute." She generally gave herself very good advice, though she very seldom followed it. And sometimes she scolded herself so severely as to bring tears into her eyes, and once she remembered trying to box her own ears for having cheated herself in a game of croquet she was playing against herself, for this curious child was very fond of pretending to be two people. "But it's no use now," thought poor Alice, "to pretend to be two people. Why, there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person." Soon her eye fell on a little glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it and found in a very small cake, on which the words "Eat me" were beautifully marked in currants. "Well, I'll eat it," said Alice, "and if it makes me larger I can reach the key, and if it makes me smaller I can creep under the door, so either way I'll get into the garden, and I don't care which happens." She ate a little bit and said anxiously to herself, "Which way?" holding her hand up to the top of her head to feel which way it was growing, and she was quite surprised to find that she remained the same size. To be sure, this generally happens when one eats cake, but Alice had got so much into the way of expecting nothing but out-of-the-way things to happen, that it seemed quite dull and stupid for life to go on in the common way. So she set to work and very soon finished off the cake. And that is the end of chapter 1. Oh my, I think the snow has picked up. Just look at it fall. It makes me think of my song, if I were a snowflake falling. Remember that one? Here, I'll play it. Is that okay? Can I play it? I'll play it. If I was a snowflake falling, tumbling, twirling, falling down to the ground, there's snow all around, though we're each unique, it's hard to tell. If I was a snowflake falling, for that's the life of a snowflake, darling, it's true, it all would feel new if you were there to catch me as I fell. If you catch me with your arms so kind and open, if you catch me in that moment, all that falling would be alright. Once you catch me, would you hold me? Would you warm up little cold me? And together we would savor all the bitterest winter nights. If I was a star falling, shooting, shining, falling down from up high, I'd light up the sky, but through all the clouds, it's hard to tell. If I was a star falling, that's the life of a meteorite, darling, you see how different it'd be if you were there to catch me, if you catch me, with your arms so kind, so open, if you catch me in that moment, all that falling would be alright. Once you catch me, I will hold you, I will warm up little cold you, and together we would savor all the bitterest winter nights. If I were falling, would you catch me? Would you hold me through the bitterest wind? Oh, and there's this beautiful poem I read by Walter de la Mare a few weeks ago that is so perfect for this weather. Let me find it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Hold on. It's called Snow. No breath of wind, no gleam of sun, still the white snow whirls softly down, twig and bough and blade and thorn, all in an icy quiet forlorn, whispering, rustling through the air, on sill and stone, roof, everywhere. It heaps its powdery crystal flakes of every tree a mountain makes, till pale and faint at shut of day stoops from the west one wintry ray, and feathered in fire where ghosts the moon, a robin shrills his lonely tune. Oh, it sounds like the wind has finally died down, and the snow stopped. Oh, perfect. You need to head out? Of course, of course. Look, your coat and boots are all dry and toasty warm. I'm so glad to have you visit. Remember, you're always welcome here at Lantana Cottage. Have a great trip home, and be sure to come by again soon. Bye. Love you.